You can ask a reasonable question and still start a fight because your partner may answer the tone they heard, not your words. Imagine one partner asks, "Did you call the school yet?" The sentence is simple, but it can arrive in several different ways.
It can sound curious. It can sound rushed. It can sound like a reminder. It can sound like evidence in a case that has already been decided. The speaker may be thinking, "I need to know whether this task is finished." The listener may be hearing, "You forgot again, and I cannot depend on you."
Now the conversation is no longer only about the school. One person is defending the question, the other is defending their dignity. That is the translation gap. By the end of this video, you will be able to separate 3 different kinds of tone conflict and use a simple reset that addresses the delivery without abandoning the real issue. The first important distinction is that words are only one part of what reaches another person. Pace, volume, timing, interruption, facial expression, and stress can add information. Sometimes that information matches the words. Sometimes it changes them. A request such as, "Can we leave in 10 minutes?" can feel completely different when it is spoken slowly from across the room than when it is fired out while someone is grabbing keys and looking at the clock. That does not mean every listener interprets tone correctly. It means the voice carries signals that the literal sentence does not fully contain. Research on couple interactions has found that vocal signs of emotional arousal can affect how partners respond and how supported a stressed partner feels. That does not make tone a perfect detector of intent. It makes tone part of the information people are reacting to. And this issue is not rare. In a 2026 YouGov survey of adults in the United States, tone of voice or attitude was the most commonly selected subject of relationship arguments among the choices provided. But most couples do not argue by saying, "We have detected a mismatch between literal language and paraverbal information." They say, "Why are you talking to me like that?" Then the other person says, "I was just asking." That answer often fails because it responds to a claim that was never made. The listener may not be saying the question was forbidden. They may be saying the delivery made the question feel loaded. The speaker answers with intent. The listener answers with impact. Both believe they are correcting the record, but they are correcting different records. This is the failed assumption that keeps the argument moving. People often act as though innocent intent makes the impact impossible, or painful impact proves hostile intent. Neither conclusion is automatically true. A person can be stressed and sound sharper than intended. A person can also carry history from earlier conversations and hear accusation in an ambiguous tone. Cultural habits, family communication styles, exhaustion, distraction, and repeated unresolved problems can all shape what is sent and what is received. Consider another exchange. Why is the kitchen still like this? The speaker may mean, "I am overwhelmed and need help." The listener may hear, "You are lazy and I have to manage you." The listener reacts to the judgment they heard. Their face closes. Their answer becomes defensive. Now the speaker hears resistance and becomes more forceful. The listener hears the stronger tone as proof that the original question was an attack. Within seconds, each person is using the reaction from the other person as evidence that their own interpretation was correct. This is how a tone conflict escalates before the practical issue is solved. The kitchen is still messy, the school call is still unanswered, the schedule still needs a decision. But the conversation has moved into a second argument about whether the first argument should exist. The common advice is simply to speak more calmly. That can help, especially when the opening is sharp or blaming. A softer start can make defensiveness less likely. But telling people to speak calmly is incomplete advice. Sometimes the delivery really was the first problem. The words were reasonable, but the pace, volume, interruption, or expression made them land like an accusation. Sometimes the delivery was ambiguous.
and the listener filled the gap with a meaning learned from previous conflict.
Those two situations can look almost identical from the outside, but they require different kinds of repair. And there is a third situation that changes the entire story. Sometimes the tone has real impact, but focusing only on the tone becomes a way to avoid answering the original concern. That is why the most useful question is not whose version is correct. The better question is, what kind of tone conflict are we actually having? The first type is a delivery mismatch. The concern may be reasonable, but the delivery becomes sharp, rushed, dismissive, louder, or more interruptive than the speaker realizes. In that case, the repair begins with ownership, not self-condemnation, not admitting an intention you did not have, simply recognizing the observable part. I asked a fair question, but I asked it in a way that sounded accusatory.
The second type is a history filter. The present sentence is ambiguous, but it arrives through the memory of earlier conversations. Maybe the same question has previously been followed by criticism. Maybe one partner has often felt monitored, ignored, or blamed. The current tone may not be extreme, but the relationship has taught the listener to expect what usually comes next. In that case, the repair meets curiosity. What did you hear in the way I asked that? The answer may reveal a pattern that neither person can see while arguing about whether the tone was objectively wrong. The third type is tone diversion. The delivery may deserve attention, but the conversation never returns to the issue. One person says, "I felt dismissed when you interrupted me." The other says, "Fine, but every attempt to discuss the missed payment, the unfinished task, or the broken agreement now ends with a debate about delivery." The fairness test is simple. Can both people address the impact and return to the substance? If the answer is yes, the tone discussion is helping the conversation. If the answer is no, and the original issue repeatedly disappears, the couple may be solving only the surface argument. Notice what this test does not do. It does not assume that the listener is too sensitive. It does not assume that the speaker is secretly hostile. And it does not require either person to surrender their experience. It asks whether the conversation can hold two truths at once. The delivery may have hurt. The issue may still need an answer. This is where the four-part translation reset becomes useful. First, name the observable cue. Avoid saying, "You are being disrespectful," when disrespect is the motive you are trying to determine. Instead say, "Your voice got louder. You interrupted me twice. You asked the question while walking away." Observable details give the other person something concrete to respond to. Second, describe the impact without turning it into a verdict. I started hearing the question as an accusation. That sentence describes your experience. It does not claim access to the other person's intention. Third, clarify the intended message. What I meant was that I need to know whether the call was made before the office closes. This does not erase the impact. It gives the listener information that was missing. Fourth, retry and return to the issue. Let me ask again. Were you able to make the call? If not, what do we need to do next? The order matters. If you skip directly to the issue, the listener may feel that the impact was ignored. If you stay only with the impact, the practical problem may remain unsolved. The reset works by translating both sides and then bringing the conversation back to reality. It is not a guarantee. A clearer sentence cannot force another person to listen, take responsibility, or respond calmly. And not every conflict should be reduced to a misunderstanding. Repeated humiliation, intimidation, threats, coercion, or deliberate contempt require a different level of attention. If you feel unsafe, the priority is not perfect phrasing. It is support, distance, and appropriate help. But in ordinary disagreements, the most important shift is often this: stop using intent and impact as weapons against each other.
Intent answers, what was I trying to send? Impact answers, what arrived? Pattern answers, what keeps happening between us? Agency answers, what can I clarify, change, request, or refuse? Return to the original example. Did you call the school yet? Maybe the speaker was rushed. Maybe the listener heard accusation because this task has caused conflict before. Maybe the question was delivered sharply. Maybe the listener focused on tone and avoided answering. The goal is not to choose one explanation before the conversation begins. The goal is to slow the translation down enough to find out. So when someone says, "I was just asking," that may be true. And when the other person says, "You sounded angry," that may also be true. The fight begins when each person treats their truth as proof that the other person's experience cannot exist. The repair begins when both pieces of information are allowed into the same conversation. If this helped you recognize the translation gap, continue with the next video on screen. It will show how a boundary can begin sounding like a threat, even when the person setting it believes they are only being clear.